Good evening. It is 5 p.m. and I am calling this work session to order. This is a special meeting of the Kent School District Board, which is held in public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. The purpose of the special meeting is a policy work session. At this time, we will take roll call for attendance. I will call each board member's name, and if present, they will say present. Director Song? Director Clark?
Present.
Vice President Cook?
Present.
And I am present. Okay, when we move on to our work session with the topic of policy, and I call upon Superintendent Bella.
Thank you, President Markell, members of the board. Thank you again for your commitment to how consistent we've been working on policy. I think back of the work we started 3 years ago and really focusing on those essential policies we needed to and those things that we need to continue to do as we work together. So thank you for your commitment to our work. I want to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Holly, who will get us started with our policy work session tonight.
Good evening, President Margell, members of the board, Superintendent Vela, and Ms. Curry. Our work session tonight is, we have a relatively short agenda, but we have one important topic to talk about that is on the agenda but will not be moving forward. We always start with talking about policy classifications. I know it gets old for people that have seen it every time, but for people who have never seen this before, I want to point out why we have the essentials that we work on, and the board is committed to working on our essential policies, which are required by state or federal law or funding's involved. Our first policy that we're talking about tonight is Policy 3205, Sex Discrimination and Sex-Based Harassment of Students Prohibited. We are holding on this policy per our legal counsel. The Sexual Harassment Prohibited Policy and Staff Policy 5011 were rewritten as Sex-Based Discrimination Prohibited Policies. The new Title IX 2024 regulations became effective August 1st of 2024. If you remember from previous work session, any grievance that came before August 1st had to be dealt with the 2020 regulations, and anything that came after had to be dealt with the 2024 regulations. Well, the regulations, the implementation of the 2024 Title IX regulations were blocked first by a temporary injunction, and on January 9th, the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Kentucky vacated entirely, meaning they totally threw out the 2024 Title IX new regulations. They said that the regulations were invalid and must be set aside, and this ruling applies nationwide. This means that the 2020 Title IX final rule and regulations are back in effect. Although we're not moving ahead with a revised policy tonight, I just want to remind everyone, emphasize that our current policies do protect our LGBTQ plus students from discrimination and harassment. Discriminatory behavior is already prohibited at KSD and will continue to be, of course. And while the abandonment of 2024 regulations is unsettling and the controversy is distressing to many people in our community, it does not keep us from preventing and addressing sex discrimination and harassment. We still have a policy that prohibits sexual harassment. That's our current 3205, and a policy that prohibits harassment and bullying of students, 3207. We also have Policy 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action in place for staff. So any questions on this?
None.
Okay. Policy 3432, emergencies. This policy was revised by WASDA based on RCW 28A 32125, the Safe School Plans. It includes how substitute teachers and other temporary employees receive necessary information about safe school plans, including school safety policies and procedures, and the 3 basic functional drill responses: shelter in place, lockdown, and evacuation, as described in the RCW. We have already implemented this in our district. Substitute teachers receive safe school plans, including school safety policies and procedures, and the basic functional drill responses. Any questions on this one?
None.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. Policy 4210, we just had this in May. It stated on the May policy, the following persons over 18 years of age, not employed by the district and not enrolled as students, may have firearms in their possession on school property outside of the school buildings. It is being revised to remove the not employed by the district line. Any questions on this?
None.
Okay. We have a first reading of Policy 6700, Nutrition. WASDA separated Policy 6700 out. It used to be Nutrition, PE, and Recess. And we had prior boards who made comments about this, and other boards throughout the state were making the same comments. They didn't understand why these were all tied to one policy. So WASDA heard that. They noted that having separate policies can help community members find the specific policy they're seeking and help them more readily understand the district's obligations and processes related to their particular questions. So Policy 6700 now is a standalone nutrition policy. 6702 is referenced in this policy, but that's the only reference to other policies in this one. Any questions?
Can I just out of curiosity, have it, like, I understand what the words mean, but what it means in actuality is expenditures for food supply shall not exceed the estimated revenues?
Good evening, President Margell, members of the board, Superintendent Vela, and Ms. Curry. That just means that we have to stay within our budget, basically, that we don't exceed what we bring in for revenue.
And I understand the actuality, but a budget and revenue are two different things, right? So you can choose to say that we're going to take in $1, but we're going to spend $2, and we're going to budget for that extra $1 because it's important. But we're actually putting it in our policy. Is this a I'm just interested in knowing about. Is this like a requirement? Is this state law? Is this that we cannot exceed our revenues then?
It's not a state law. It's OSPI regulation and USDA regulation that we don't exceed what we bring in, right? So I don't have a clear answer for you, so I apologize.
If I may, nutrition services, I believe, is probably the only area where we actually make money. And by that I mean, it is determined by the lunches that we are serving, and we can't exceed that funding that we're taking in. And so I know I have Mr. Parangwar here too today. If I said that correctly, or if you'd like to step forward and just kind of share a little bit more about that, I think that'll kind of help with the budget
So
question.
nutrition services is actually tracked differently in our financial statement. It is, if I may, it has a program called Code 9800, and it's a requirement. It is a requirement that we spend within the amount of money that we bring under 9800. If we don't, let's say we spend more than what we bring in, it is important that we find other sources of revenue to be able to balance it. And so that's why I think what you're seeing here is that we must stay within the amount of money that we are bringing in. And the way we monitor that is tracked differently by virtue of the program number 9800.
Okay. And they have to be specified for that item specifically. So if a school wanted to do a fundraiser to have snacks for every kid, I'm just putting it out there, that's fine because it's raised for that, but they can't use like a general fund to buy snacks because that's not revenue for that?
Well, there's a different regulation for that because there is the regulation about the food with minimal nutritional value. We need to be careful about that particular example that you made because those are violation of the law by bringing in food with minimal nutritional value in the system. So,
Thank you for the explanation on that. I was just interested when I read it.
Thank you.
Megan,
Yes.
if I can. Obviously, it identifies smart snacks as a classification, but is there a differentiation by grade level?
Yes, there is a differentiation by grade level. I can't quote what that is, but it goes by calories and other nutrition values for each grade level. Yes, that is correct.
Teenagers are a category by themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've heard some talk from community members and staff and whatnot about the length of time that children are given to eat. And I know it's a concern because they take their time getting through the line and what have you, and then they end up with like 3 minutes to eat. There's some talk of changing that at the state level, I think. And is that something we could address ahead of time proactively? Look at changing the way that we do things, or at least preparing for that possibility?
I could probably
Just, I have a
share.
question. What would we be preparing for if we don't know what the state law is going to be?
Well, they're talking about making it 20 minutes mandatory for how long you would be sitting at lunch, like actually eating. So the time that you're going through the line, the time that you're at recess, all those other things wouldn't be counted in it. It'd be just, butts in seats, I guess to say it bluntly.
But it's not past it, and so we just don't know what the rule's going to be for sure.
No, but that's what they're suggesting might happen.
To answer the question, Vice President Cook, I believe proactively what districts are doing right now as we speak are actually looking at everything from master schedules, obviously high school, but in particular elementary, looking at their current bell schedule as it relates to time, and looking at current recess schedules, just to kind of cut to the chase.
Yeah.
And then we also need to look at minutes that we are currently providing for education, because we have
Yeah.
to meet our minutes as well. And so proactively, my team has that information.
Yeah.
And as this comes closer to fruition, I think we'll be prepared with, hey, here are the changes potentially that need to be made, or do we have enough space? Because as you know, some of our schools are very small, some are larger, and they're having to have multiple lunches. So you can
Yeah.
already tell there are impacts that are unintended
Yeah.
that we'll have to get ahead of. So I appreciate the question.
Is that something, I don't know if it's possible, are we able to like, I guess, go into some sort of standard like that in KSD without the state coming in and mandating it?
We already have that in place, and the schedules are such that depending on the size of school, they have enough lunches in order to get through the lunch line, for example, to make sure that we're getting the orders that we need. So we already have like a schedule in place to
Yeah.
do those key things.
Yeah.
This law would particularly be around the seat time, as you
Yeah.
you mentioned, and I think that's some of the impacts that we could get some information ahead of time, which would be our schedules.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I had.
No other questions? Okay.
Next, we have one of the break-off policies, Policy 6701, recess and physical activity. This supports compliance with Senate Bill 5257, which ensures elementary school students receive sufficient daily recess. The break for recess, which provides physical activity and social connection, has been shown to help children be less stressed, better behaved, and more engaged when they return to the classroom. The matching procedure notes schools should not withhold recess as a form of discipline unless a student's participation in recess poses an immediate threat to the safety of the student or others, nor should schools withhold recess to compel students to complete academic work. Schools will develop alternatives to withholding recess as a form of discipline or as a way to compel students to complete academic work.
Question, if I can.
Yes.
Okay, under physical activity, down towards the bottom, it's opportunities for active transportation to school. Now, is that bicycle racks, or are we getting serious? How much more is there to that?
I think when I looked up active transportation before, and when I've checked on it, we're not committing to bicycle racks or helmets or any of that, or storage areas for that. I think we're encouraging the active transportation.
Okay, all right, forgive me, but I find that loaded. I mean, skateboards are terrifying for someone like me, but the point is, that part of the gear is a helmet, and head injuries are a major issue in this country. And so my problem is the care and the direction in terms of what we are doing when we say we're encouraging active transportation.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is the liability piece and the connection to that. And the encouraging, I don't believe, gets us into that liability area in that we are actually requiring. If we were requiring it out of a program, then we'd have to also provide the equipment, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think the encouraging piece, because we have students that ride their bikes now, what we have to make sure is we have a safe pathway, walkway, et cetera, have places for their bikes, that kind of thing. But I think back to the fundamental question is around liability, and I believe we are not there with the word encouraging, but I look over to Mr. Leonard and Marcy in that's the way I would be, and I'm getting a head nod, so. Thank you.
Let me just add real quick on that. The word encouraging is not in here.
No.
Just so you know, it's just opportunities. So creating opportunities, which would mean bike racks, spaces to store your equipment when you get to school, things like that, which all of our elementary schools and high schools, middle schools have bike racks. Now, how many spaces they have for bikes is a different story, because there's never been an expectation that every school has spaces for 50 bikes, but every school has a bike rack somewhere on their property. But, yeah.
So I just had a question. I'm looking at the documents listed in board docs. And all the one, I know these are new policies for 6701 and 6702. Are there like planned things from WASDA that we've received? Because the model ones just say that they're new policies.
Well, this is the way WASDA's written them, and then our team looks at them and makes any changes that they feel necessary.
Oh, the PDF that's there just says this policy is new to WASDA, though portions of it were contained in policy 6700, nutrition, health, and physical education. So have they not posted anything yet?
This is theirs, basically.
Oh.
They do post it, but the reason it's up there the way it is in board docs is I usually put a PDF of the change that's being recommended, but we've taken the policy from WASDA itself.
Oh, this isn't what's
Oh,
showing.
what, am I on the wrong one?
Well, no, I'm sure this is correct. The one that you have isn't what we have on board docs. Like I
Oh, is
pulled it
the
up
wrong
on board docs,
policy
so I'm
on
looking
there?
at the same thing that the public is looking at,
let
which
me
is why I
look.
go in there. But when I'm looking at it, literally all it says is this policy is new to WASDA, though portions, yeah. And it's on all of those documents, so
Oh.
it's 6701 and
Well, that was on
6702.
me. That was
Okay.
on me. My apologies, because I'm the one who uploaded that, not Naomi.
That's okay, I was just confused, I'm like, I don't know, but
I-
I appreciate that.
But, so I will explain this is new to them and to us.
Okay.
I really would like someone to make up a legal review in terms of what we are adopting, in terms of our coverage, in terms of liability.
So the question is, we have a request to develop a legal review of the policy itself for determine legal liability, if at all.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're adopting it. We don't have to adopt their model.
Right.
And I'm just saying, are we clear in terms of how our practices are,
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
upfront and stated?
Yep, I believe we are, but I think your request still is for that review. So team will need to work on that.
So are we holding this one?
If legal gives it a pass, I'm okay, but I just want to know that it's
Yeah.
been done.
What we can do is, what we've done is have the review. If it comes to the second reading to the board, that means that we've had the review, but we'll make sure we get that to the board.
Thank you.
Sound good? Okay, thank you.
And my questions were, in the description that you were giving, and I remember doing the policy where we were talking about withholding recess. That's not included in this policy.
It's in the procedure now.
Okay, so it's in the procedure that accompanies it, but not in the policy.
Right, and I read that portion off. I can read it again. Schools should not withhold recess as a form of discipline unless the student's participation in recess poses an immediate threat to the safety of the student or others. Nor should schools withhold recess to compel students to complete academic work. Schools will develop alternatives to withholding recess as a form of discipline or as a way to compel students to complete academic work. So they put that in there, I think, so the procedure, it's a procedural piece, basically, but we put in what the board wanted.
Two more questions. One, because we are setting a floor, a minimum of 30 minutes, life happens, kids need to wash their hands, whatever it is, and they get out 1 minute late. Do we have it scheduled that there's a wiggle room, or do we add that it will be, that they will be scheduled for a minimum of 30 minutes per day?
President Margell, members of the board, Superintendent Vela. This would be a matter of a schedule. In the enactment of that, you know, as with any instructional minute or anything within a day, that would be a matter of the staff involved adjusting and shifting to ensure that time.
Okay. I think that words matter. And
Yeah.
since if we say that they will receive a minimum of 30 minutes per day, which obviously we all want.
Yeah.
Kids need their wiggle time. But I also don't want to be in violation of our policy because somebody's line leader got lost.
Yeah.
And so is there a way that we can, will be scheduled a minimum of 30 minutes per day? Would be my suggested language on that. So then we're not in violation of that.
I think that would fit. If that's a change that we can make, I can also bring it to the team for review further if needed.
Any issues with that? Okay.
Thank-
And then my other question is that within, and I might be wrong on this, but I feel like there used to be, and maybe I'm dating myself, that there was a recess before school started? Is that a thing anymore?
No, not
Okay.
currently.
We'll just chalk that up
Yeah.
as I have outdated information. Thank you.
Yeah.
Not
Thank
sure
you.
where you were before yours started.
I was playing on
However-
the playground, particularly like the swings.
Can
No,
we
no.
institute that here, maybe?
President Margell?
Yeah, we don't have that. You know, in fact, it's because it's supervision that we're looking at.
Yes.
There, but I agree with the schedule piece, because schedule is a word that, as long as we're scheduling, we're assuring that it's there.
Yes.
And then we can still work outside of that if someone's not getting it. And I do know from experience that that is what occurs if that happens.
100%.
Yeah.
President
Thank
Margell, if we make that change, if Marcy's team agrees to that change, is this good to go ahead for approval at the next board meeting?
Yep, with also looking at just making sure that any legal questions on that one.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I do have one more thing on this one. Access to school district facilities for physical activity, fitness, sports, and recreation programs. I am interested, and I know that we have upcoming meetings with our city partners, but not all of our students live within city boundaries of Kent or Covington. We do have unincorporated. And so I am interested, as we give our facilities preferential for our activities, which I love that we do, but I want to make sure that all of our students have the opportunity. And I know that there's been preference given to, if you live in the city of Kent, to get on the Kent teams, if you live in the city of Covington, to get on the Covington teams. And so that can make it so our unincorporated students, unincorporated city, there are students, but they're living in their unincorporated part of King County, that they don't have that same access as all of our students to our facilities. And since we hold that contract, I would like to see what that looks like.
That is definitely something I can bring back to the team for review and discussion.
Thank you.
Megan, that's also something on the facility use side of the house with Brian Smith, Director of Athletics and Activities. That's something we can talk about. To your point, and I think you brought this up either a year ago or so, specifically around, I think, the Covington area, is that our unincorporated King County students, it's not that they don't have access, they just don't have prioritized access as all the Covington students do, because the Covington program is funded through Covington, but to your point, making sure that all of our students, regardless of their address, have access to our facilities in one way or another. Well, that's a conversation we can have with Brian and see what that looks like, to make sure that, our partners are open to partnering with all of our students regardless of their address.
Yep. And the problem is when you have a popular program and limited number of coaches and all the things that go into it,
Yeah.
if you're not registering within the first 2 hours, you're not getting your kid on a spot and they don't have an opportunity. So when you say, yeah, you can register, but 2 days later,
Yeah.
it's basically giving your kid not an opportunity to sign up.
Yep. Good point.
Anything further on this one?
Nope, thank you.
Okay. We are on to the last one, which is Policy 6702, Wellness. Give me just one second. This policy is new to both WASDA and KSD. The policy is specific to federal requirements for a wellness policy and a wellness committee. Among other things, this policy discusses physical education, physical activity before and after school, recess, family and community engagement, and staff wellness and health promotion. Any questions?
Nope.
That is the shortest policy work session we've ever had.
Win, gold star for everybody. Thank you for being prepared and having those pre-read so we can have the appropriate questions. Great. It is 5:28, and we're adjourning for an executive session for 30 minutes. The purpose of the executive session is to discuss the performance of a public employee, potential litigation, and the legal or financial risks of a course of action. That meeting will start at 6 p.m. and will go until 6:30. So you have 32 minutes to have a glass of water.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team.
Good evening. It's 5:59, and we've been enjoying a diet water with each other for the last few minutes. But now, starting at 6 p.m., we will be moving into our executive session. Just to reiterate, the executive session is for 30 minutes. The purpose of the executive session is to discuss the performance of a public employee, potential litigation, or the legal or financial risks of a course of action. And we will be returning for our regular meeting starting at 6:30. See y'all then. Good evening. It is 6:30, and we excused our executive session at 6:25. We now start our regular meeting, and we are calling it to order here at 6:30. The first thing that we will start with is a roll call for attendance of our board members. Please indicate your presence by saying present. Director Song?
Present.
Director Clark?
Present.
Vice President Cook?
Present.
And I am President. Vice President Cook, will you help us with saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome. This is a meeting of the Kent School District Board, which is held in public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. We welcome the public's participation in the board meeting and thank those of you who have come to this meeting and those who are viewing via our live stream. The purpose of a board meeting is for the board to conduct its business in public. During the meeting, the board will listen to but not respond to comments from visitors. Whether made verbally in person, verbally on video, or written, comments are limited to a total of one per person per regular board meeting. One additional comment per person may be submitted for a public hearing topic if there is a public hearing on the agenda. All forms of public comment are subject to Chapter 4256 RCW Public Records Act. The public may comment at regular board meetings in a manner authorized by state law. All comments must adhere to Policy 1420 and Procedure 1420P. If you wish to make a comment to the board, comment forms are available for completion prior to the meeting and must be turned in no later than the beginning of the legislative report. No forms will be accepted once this report has begun. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Public comments will be heard after the agenda review. Students will be first to speak on any topic during the student voice portion of the agenda, which takes place immediately following the opening. General public comments from non-students will be heard during the preliminary communication from the audience. Any remaining comments, whether from students or non-students, will be heard at specific agenda items and during the final communication from the audience. Student comments will be heard first on any topic. Please state your first and last name prior to beginning your testimony. Abuse of public comments personally directed toward the board, staff, or students will not be tolerated. The use of specific names or personally identifiable information of board, staff, or students is not allowed. Board members or KSD staff members may interrupt or terminate an individual's statement when not adhering to Procedure 1420P. All comments, whether verbal or written, must adhere to the standards of civility as defined in Policy 1400, Meeting Conduct, Order of Business, and Quorum. If you're seated in an overflow room, there's a brief delay in the live stream audio. We will allow extra time for you to make your way to the board room after your name is called. Individuals with items for the board or superintendent must provide the items directly to safety services. Approaching the dais during the board meeting is not allowed. Any items turned in will be provided to the board and superintendent following the meeting. We are now on to Section 1.06, Land Acknowledgement. Director Clark, will you help us in reading the land acknowledgement for us?
We acknowledge we are gathered upon the ancestral lands of the Muckleshoot Indian tribe who historically lived throughout the area between the Cascade Mountains and Puget Sound.
Thank you very much. We are now on to Section 1.07, the agenda review. Superintendent Vela, are there any changes to the agenda?
President Margill, there are no changes to the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a motion from the board?
Move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? Look for
Second.
There we go.
It's lit up, it's just not.
Okay. A motion has been made and seconded for approval of the agenda as presented. We are now open for discussion. Seeing as there is none, we are now, what?
Voting.
Yes, we are now voting on the resolution or voting on the motion to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. The motion passes 4-0. We are now on to our student voice section.
Thank you, President Margill. I'll ask Mrs. Antello to see if we have any public comment for students.
Good evening, President.
Margell, members of the board, Superintendent Vela and Ms. Curry. At this time, there are no student comments received, whether online or in person. Additionally, no comments were received online for non-students, whether written or video, and no comment cards have been turned in this evening at this time.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Santello. Well, we are now on to section 3.0, our recognition section, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Superintendent Vela.
Yes, thank you, President Margell, members of the board. Just as a reminder, January is our school board recognition month across the state, and unfortunately, we do not have a proclamation from our governor, but we'll keep looking. But as you recall, we've had schools provide thank yous, well wishes to our board. You have some, hopefully you have some time tonight or later to go through some of the cards you've received from the different schools. I'll again direct you to some of the posters that are hanging out there. And I also wanted to share with you that for tonight we have a special treat. We have some videos that were done by a couple of schools. And so without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Santello to go through our first one from Kent Meridian High School.
Merci beaucoup.
Asante.
Salam alaikum.
Gracias.
Tashakar.
ومع سنسا هاي. Привет.
Teşekkür ederim.
Gamon.
Gracias.
Manana.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
Maraming salamat.
धन्यवाद School Board.
Thank you.
And we have one more video, I believe.
Capacity plus learning plus followers plus happiness plus good environment equals great leader. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gracias. Gracias. Adiós. Gracias. Thank you.
Say, I understand
I understand
the word
the word
global.
global. Thank you.
Por eso, estudiantes, aprendemos más sobre bacterias. Hay que lavarnos las manos.
Gracias. Thank you.
Maury, can you read the learning target for us?
Add fractions with mixed numbers. Thank you. Thank you. Just wanna jump.
Thank you, Ms. Antella. So on behalf of our Kent Meridian students and staff, and also our Scenic Hills, you can see we have some pretty talented young people that put together that video. Very excited. You know, that's one of our dual language schools. as well as can be in that pathway. So we thank you, and we do not need to take a picture. We took one before, and so, again, I just wanted to say, take the moment to thank each and every one of you for your commitment to lead in our school district, and more importantly, to lead a school district with over 130 languages, as you see. You got some example of a few of those, and also a school district that I believe continues to move forward and be the very best that it can be with our great leadership of our school board. So thank you again.
Thank you very much. And I am just going to take a moment to say this is definitely a labor of love. We don't do it just for the 2 meetings a month, which I always laugh at because it is way more than 2 meetings a month. But we really do it for the 25,000 plus kids that we get to serve. And thank you very much. I'd like to give a shout out to Kentwood High School for their poster that they did to made for us. Cedar Heights also for your poster. Meridian Elementary did a beautiful banner. Park Ordered Elementary with cards. Also Emerald Park Elementary, thank you for your cards and stickers. Which was really fun to have too. And Kent Meridian High School and Scenic Hill, thank you for your videos that we had here today. And we also got some letters, I believe, last week from students at Kent Ridge. So thank you very much. And again, we appreciate all of the students of our district and the work that you entrust us with doing every day. We now move on to section 4.0, which we already have indicated there are no comments. And so we are moving now on to the superintendent report. Superintendent Bella.
Thank you, President Margell. I want to start my report tonight by sharing with our board a heroic act by some of our KSD students that prevented a potential abduction. And to kind of give you some more context, last fall, in a remarkable display of bravery, 3 of our students intervened to prevent a potential abduction of a younger student near their homes. I applaud Esme, Kylie, and Bentley for their courage and vigilance. Their willingness to step up and speak out ensured the safety of the student, and their actions are truly commendable. The Kent Police Department has recognized each student for their quick thinking and decisive actions. We have also been notified by the FBI, yes, the FBI, that they want to also recognize our students as well. I want to thank these students who exemplify the spirit of community and heroism. They deserve to be celebrated for their outstanding bravery. As you know, we continue to prioritize the safety of our students and our community. As superintendent, I want to reassure you that the safety and well-being of our students and families remain our top priority, especially in these uncertain times. As we celebrate and celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day earlier this week, we were reminded by Dr. King's words, "The time is always right to do what is right." We are committed to providing resources and guidance for both our families and staff to help in these challenging circumstances. We encourage you to visit our Family Support Services page on our district and school websites, where you will find numerous links to valuable resources for families. We also promote open communication and collaboration with our local community-based organizations and authorities to ensure a secure environment for everyone. Together, we can continue to foster a resilient and supportive community where every family feels safe and valued. As I mentioned earlier, I shared a little bit about January being the school board recognition month. And we've talked a lot about kind of what that means, and we've heard from you over the different months and years you've been a part of the board, those of you who have been. And I mentioned your commitment for fostering a safe, nurtured, and enriching environment for our students, staff, and families is truly commendable. Your guidance and leadership have been instrumental in navigating the challenges we face, and your efforts do not go unnoticed. Your prioritization of legislative action for schools positively affects our students and their community. January 11th and 12th, I had the opportunity to spend the weekend with Legislative Representative Tim Clark and Director Andy Song at the WASA, combination WASDA, WASBO Legislative Conference. So I wanted to specifically thank you both for giving up your weekends during that time, but we learned a lot. More importantly, that we learned more about the big three initiatives as well as crafting legislative priorities and taking steps towards our action plan. Together, we are making a significant impact on the lives of our students and the broader community in Kent School District. We celebrate multilingual excellence in our school district through the World Language Proficiency testing process. The Kent School District Assessment Team successfully concluded the World Language Proficiency testing process across all high schools, making a significant milestone in recognizing and celebrating the linguistic talents of our students, which you saw a little bit of today. This year, a total of 281 students showcased their language skills in 39 different languages. Spanish was the most popular language, accounting for 47% of the students that were tested. Other top languages are Ukrainian, Dari, Punjabi, and Somali, reflecting the rich linguistic diversity of our student body. Students collectively earned an impressive 902 world language competency-based credits, which is amazing when you look at all the different credits that we offer and what they can earn. 902. Of the students tested, 60% are eligible for the prestigious Seal of Biliteracy Award at graduation, and many of you who have attended graduation and have seen that awarded during our graduation, Seal of Biliteracy. It is a testament to their proficiency and their dedication. This concludes my report. Thank you, President Margell.
Thank you very much. We now move on to our legislative update. Just announcing that this is also the time that all remaining comment cards need to be turned into the blue drop box at this time. And I'm calling on Director Clark to give us our legislative update.
Well, as mentioned by Superintendent Vela, Director Song and myself, joined Director Vela, or Superintendent Vela, for a two-day training and update, where we had, among the people there are major legislative leaders. So they're literally chairing the committees where so many different bills that affect us, and giving us a snapshot of where they're at. And in fact, of course, already this week, there are, I think, 7 bills, of which there's a couple on special ed, student transportation, and some, and then, of course, the MSOC. The things will continue to get major review. And Superintendent Vela and I will be down in Olympia next week trying to go through that. And I want to take a moment. There's only one new legislator in the 6 that actually serve us. And I did have a chance to talk to him, and I believe that all 6 of them will be solid supporters of public education as they have been in the past. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Clark. We now move to our discussion and approval. Our first, we're at section 7.0. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve.
It's you.
I move to approve 7.01, gifts, donations, and/or memorials acceptance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 7.01, gifts, donations, and memorials acceptance. We are now open for discussion.
I'd just like to acknowledge some of the folks that have really gone the extra mile in supporting the activities and students of our district. Kent Lake High School got from Washington DECA funding of $840 to support the DECA conference and expenses. As you know, DECA students obviously are in competition in various office skills and business-oriented activities. Kent Ridge High School got 2 donations. One was from a donor for girls basketball of $4,157 to support girls basketball activities and programming expenses. And the Washington State Interscholastic Judo Association donated $4,000 to support Kent Ridge Judo Club programming activities. And just a gentle reminder that judo is a sport that we actually encourage in this district. Neely O'Brien, the Shutterfly Life Touch Group, donated $771 for school and student needs. Scenic Hill Elementary got from Amazon BF14 $1,000 to support educational resources, student programs, and some school facilities. Kent Meridian High School got from Washington State Forensics Association $1,000. That's to support the debate team competition fees and club expenses. And we thank all of those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, there's a motion on the floor for approval of item 7.01, gifts, donations, and memorials acceptance. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 4-0. We now move on to section 8.0, our consent agenda. Is there any items that anybody would like to pull for discussion?
There is one for me. The vouchers, 8.10.
Seeing no others, is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve the consent agenda, items 801 through 811 minus 810.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made and second for approving the consent agenda items 8.01 through 8.11 with exception of 8.10. We are now open for discussion. Seeing that there is none, there is a motion on the floor for approval of items 8.01 through 8.11 with the exception of 8.10. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes 4-0. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve item 8.10, vouchers.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.10 vouchers. We are now open for discussion.
So my only question on this one is, I see that Foster Garvey is another, is on here again. So we're spending additional money with that law firm. I'm going to assume that some of that was spent on my own lawsuit. And as such, I do not approve of this, but I'm not able to pull that out individually. So I will be voting against the vouchers based on that. So I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you.
If I may, Vice President Cook, definitely understand. I do believe we use Foster Garvey for other
Yes.
types of things, so. it
Yeah, I
could be
just
that,
didn't want
so-
to ask because I didn't know
Got
if
it.
that's appropriate.
No problem.
Thank you.
Just wanted to note that to the board.
Appreciate it.
Seeing no other discussion, a motion's been made to approve item 8.10 vouchers. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. All those against?
Nay.
The motion passes 3-1. Seeing that there is no final communication from the audience, we now move to our board reports. Director Song, if you'd like to lead us off.
Sure. Just want to again acknowledge the events from a couple weeks ago where I had the opportunity to attend the legislative conference just to learn a little bit more about the proceedings and ways that we can better advocate for our students, not just in this district, but across Washington. So I thought that was a really helpful conference to attend. Definitely learned a lot about the processes and just how to advocate more effectively moving forward. Also was able to use that time to attend the governor's inaugural ball, which I thought was really exciting and fun. Took my opportunity to insert some more education-based advocacy in there. I know it was our new governor's time to shine, but also that's a space where we can enter to voice our advocacy. And so just part of my commitment to this, I think I'm going to continue utilizing my voice by entering those spaces to continuously advocate for education advancements and funding. And then again, wanting to thank all of the students for these wonderful cards and all of the signs around. Just wanted to note that I do have a special box at home that I got specifically for these. So anytime we do receive student gifts, I do save them all. So at least wanted to have that notice go out to all the students who've worked really hard on these. And with that, I end my board report.
Thank you very much, Director Song. Director Clark.
I also want to thank the students that sent us thank you notes for board work. It's nice to remain in contact with students in our visits also. I only had one visit last week, and that was actually to catch part of the Northwood Meeker 7th and 8th grade boys basketball games, just to see what they were doing, and visited at the community chat there. Thank you.
Very nice. Vice President Cook.
So this past week, I've attended a few things. I went to the, and also assisted by, what is it? What do you call them that are taking the time when they're swimming?
Timers?
Sure, timers. I don't know what they're called.
Timers.
Yeah, I'm not a sports person, in case anyone didn't know that. I don't watch much sports at all, but I heard that there was a need for support out there, so I went and helped to time the different competitors out there. It was a wonderful event that was held by Kent Ridge for the Kent Ridge Invitational. I guess they didn't do it last year or something, I think? Or?
A couple of years during COVID.
Yeah.
But 30 years or plus.
Yeah, it's like 32 years or something they've been doing it. And it invites, 40, 50 different school districts from around the state to come and compete against each other. It is an all-day event. It goes from about 7, 8 in the morning until probably 4 or so in the afternoon. It is very long, but it was a lot of fun. I had a good time. And so it was really nice getting to see the swimmers swimming and everything, and also getting to kind of be involved. So that was kind of cool. Today I was over at Jenkins Creek, and the only reason I was there is to drop off food for Backpack Buddies, which is a program that Kent Rotary does for the students around in our area, as well as their families, to provide food over the weekend, so that they have food if they are in need. And so I was dropping that off, and I was lucky enough to get to stop by Dr. Golif's classroom of first graders and got to read part of one of their books that they're reading currently, which was a lot of fun. So I had a good time out there. I am still substitute teaching, also substitute paraeducating, and now also substitute nutrition services in Renton. I'm also doing that in Auburn, except for the nutrition services. This is with the goal of my learning more about how education works and by going and doing jobs across other districts that are nearby, since I obviously can't do it here. And so it's been very good. I've learned a lot, and I hope that I keep learning more. So I plan on doing additional jobs, as many as I am allowed to, or I'm qualified to. Obviously, I don't want to do anything that I'm not qualified for. But outside of that, it was just really great. I'm enjoying that time, and I want to thank Renton and Auburn for allowing me to do that as well. And then the cards that were sent, thank you so much to the kids that sent them. Also, the videos were fantastic. It's always fun for us to get to see what our work here produces, and hearing back from our students is just one of the best ways that we can know how things we're doing here are impacting them. So I'm hopeful that we'll continue that. So that's all I've got for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President Cook. I would just like to point out a couple different things that we have going on. Sorry, I have my notes in a couple different places. First and foremost, we are still looking for to complete our dais with our fifth person. So applications are being accepted through the end of the month. So for those of you who live within District 4, please reach out, apply. There is no better way than to get involved and jump on in. We also have people that are willing and able to talk about what that commitment looks like and what the job looks like, and would love to talk more about it. If maybe the board is not your place, but you still want to get involved and have your voice heard, I'd like to put out on our website, we have the KSD Together meetings. Please, there's information there's information on the website about those meetings and how to get involved with that. I'd also like to say we just had a recent community connection, our superintendent chat on January 14th at Meeker, right after the boys' basketball game, and which went very well and had some great comments from our community, questions from our community, and just invite our community to get involved in the many different ways that we have available. Speaking of boys basketball, I've also been able to go to a couple different games lately from our middle school, and just excited always to see that competition that we have and the learning that goes along with our extracurricular sports. Next week is a big day for basketball. Pack the Gym. This is an event not to be missed. Kent Ridge and Kentwood will be coming together and with our unified basketball players and I believe our Sparkle cheerleaders at Kent Ridge, 6 p.m. and in partnership with Special Olympics. Great evening of sportsmanship and camaraderie and just a fun night to be had by all. I am looking through my list. I want to say thank you very much for participating in the weekend events for the legislative. Thank you very much to our board members and Superintendent Vela for doing that. The work is noble, the times were terrible, and we appreciate the time that you did for that. I just want to say thank you again to all of our schools and our students, principals, teachers that have given us the thank yous throughout the month. Again, we do this for our students and love having the focus always on you. It is 7:02 and we are adjourned.